what are we doing today, Matt Jackson?
Oh, today we're working on a Volkswagen Ghia.
This is the one that you've seen dragged out of the woods up north of here. So we're going to see if this thing will start.
Yeah, after 20 years of sitting, we're going to show you how to get a motor started for the first time.
That's right. The classic YouTube thing, will it run? People love this kind of stuff.
Yes, so you're in for a treat today. And we've got Tommy, the man, here to show us how it's done.
Oh, yeah. He got a flow chart written down over here on the whiteboard. It's all fancy.
Hey, I'm just happy that we're all back together for a little bit.
Me too.
It seems like there's a little gap.
Yeah, it has been a while. We're missing the bearded wonder, and we're working on a Ghia, which is really weird, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. But we're glad you guys are with us today. Stick with us because we don't know what we're getting into.
Let's jump into it. Let's go.
Let's go.
Roll it back, wipe it down, clean it, because it should come right off.
So this part of the VW Life is brought to you by
Super clean.
Super clean. That is so clean.
Wow, look what you uncovered.
Yeah. I would say it's clean, but I think it's super clean.
Look at that. It's got
Tommy's alright to spray the motor.
Do it.
just
Don't go light. Let's super
yeah,
clean
just
the hell
like
out.
foam that bad boy up. It's foaming up, turning brown.
See it?
Yeah, that
stuff
is
is
working. Yep.
We're getting it super clean.
We got set for a second and then spray it down.
That's coming off.
Better air than that.
It's been 20 years since it's ran. Is that what we figured
Yeah.
out?
20 years since it had a bath and since it ran.
Yeah.
We did give it a bath.
First things first, we need to do is see if it's timed, right?
No, I think if anything, the main thing that we should always do when you walk up to a car is just to see if the motor will turn over.
Uh-oh.
So if we can turn it over a few full turns without any kind of problems, we're at least step one in the right direction. So do we have this being aftermarket, I assume is a 19 millimeter 3/4?
Yeah, something like that.
And you could also just grab both of the belts and move it yourself.
Yeah, maybe.
Speaking from missing a digit,
Yeah.
short finger, I stay away from the police.
Tommy's not a belt grabber person.
So we are doing this why?
We're going to see if the motor turns over, because if it doesn't turn over,
Hey!
we have a whole different problem.
So look at that.
Oh, it's got compression.
It does.
That's always good news. We're doing really, really good right now.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
So Tommy, how do you know it? What's the sign that it's got compression there?
Well, it kicked over, so it built up the pressure,
It's going to happen right here.
and then when it releases it shoves the
there it goes right there.
Yeah.
So Jake's kind of cranking, all of a sudden it gets easy right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's a great sign, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is. So we're really good. We're moving forward.
Let's go over exactly what it is we have here. We have a
Got 67 Ghia,
Okay.
and 1600 single port, got a 12-volt alternator, 009s with points, and a 3031 carb. So far we went and said we're going to check off, rotate our motor. Next we're going to make sure we got oil in it, and we're going to see where we are with the valves, make sure everything's moving there.
Checking for oil, boss.
Hopefully it's not brown. Whoa, it's got a lot of oil.
It's got a lot of oil in it because we're up really high. We can wipe it up and see exactly where it's at.
Holy moly.
High school Jake level right there.
Yeah, and it's also telling us it's relatively clean because it's not black. And if it was black, that would be from the carbon buildup off the walls, and usually that's heavily scarred or low compression motors will have a lot of it because there's a lot of blow by.
And it's not brown or milkshake looking, because that means it didn't have water in it.
Milkshake would have water in it. You could always smell it, see if there's a lot of gas that got down in there. You could touch your nose with it.
Tommy, hey, right here, Tommy.
You got.
Oh my gosh.
so we're looking good. Basically,
Yeah.
the oil has a clear color to it. It's not milky white and it's not over dirty,
Yeah.
and it's high enough to where it's not too low.
Yeah, so it's here's low and here's high and here's where we are. So at the end of the day, it's got a lot of oil in it.
Better to have oil
Be
than no
happier
oil.
than no oil.
Yeah, so that's a good sign.
All right,
All right.
we're
So
looking
step
good.
2, we can check off on our box.
Step 2, check oil.
Wow,
We're cruising along really quick on this.
we are. We're like
Check.
pros.
So why do we want to adjust valves? We want to go through. We want to watch all the valves function, because sometimes there could be a stuck valve. And if it's stuck, we're going to have low compression or not compression in that. It could also be stuck and the piston come up and hit the valve, and that could be a problem. And then we're also going to show you how to always validate where your firing order is at and where to start from. And that is watching the intake valves open and close.
Okay, so now we're under the 1 and 2 rockers, and we want to show you when everything's operating.
Now there, here comes the exhaust on 2. Look, the exhaust on 1. Intake on 2. There goes the intake on 1 opening. Everything looks good. Yep, everything's moving free.
So what we want to do is we want to watch all of the rockers open and close, but we're going to focus on the number 1 right now. The number 1 intake is going to open and then close. And when it closes, we're going to watch now the pulley, and we're going to wait for the top dead center to come up, and I'll show you where that's at. Because after the number 1 intake opens and then closes, the very next top dead center that comes up is where number 1 will be firing at.
So here's 1. Okay, there's 1 opening. Okay. And here's 1 closing.
All right, 1 is closed.
Yep, 1's closed.
And then we come over here.
When we found the pulley notches on this one, they're at 7 and 10 when they're side by side. We're not finding the top dead center. What we assume is going to be somewhere in this general area. So we're just going a little bit past 10, 7, and somewhere in this general area. We should be out. And so now we should check the valves. So let's adjust the valves. We have a 13 and a...
Yep. A little. They're pretty snug.
All right, so Tommy's just turning the motor over until we get to 2 now, and Gary is adjusting the valves.
What's the advantage of, or why should we do what we did with the valves just now?
Running the valves.
Yeah.
So they're going to make sure we find where number 1 is at for sure.
Yep.
Right. So we're not guessing.
Right.
Anymore. A lot of times you'll walk up to a car and you sit there and you move distributor around forever and you move plug wires and people are just saying, oh, I think it's here. And before you know, you've turned the distributor forever. Right. Well,
Yep.
why don't we just validate it in 2 seconds,
Yep.
which is very easy by watching the valves, the intake valves open and close. And we also found that they were a little bit tight, and we could have been trying to get this thing to run, or anybody could be trying to get any car to run, and we don't have any real good compression. So if we're going to run them now, it doesn't take very much time. Just to go ahead and get that portion out of the way. Plus, if you're ever running valves, you always want to do when it's cold, so now's the best time to do it. So we haven't even started with anything else, but we were just validating 1 step in the beginning, and then we don't have to worry about it anymore.
It just knocks an unknown off the list, so to speak. And we could get in there, and I mean, you could sit here and try to start this thing, and if you don't pop open the valve covers, I mean, they have rockers in there. I mean, you never know, right?
True.
I mean,
I've seen that
Yeah.
before. We've done 1 and 2, and we're going to move over to 3 and 4. Right?
Yay, 3 and 4. This is always easier on that arm. Gosh, Matt Jackson, if I only had some super clean floor absorbent, this would be an easy cleanup. Do you know where there is any?
Slow motion shot.
Look at this.
I guess you could slow it down. I don't have
It's
to.
like kitty litter, only fancier. Whoa! Go! You got an oily GoPro.
Need a
Oh, I'm glad it was on the back, not the fur.
GoPro absorbent.
Because of how full how much oil is in there. The dipstick told us why it's going to continue to get going.
So we're just going to let this drain out.
Yeah.
Okay, I know you guys want to see this thing fire up, but before you do that, let's make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Tommy, we've adjusted our valves. We're done with step 3.
We made sure that there were no stuck valves. We found number 1, and we know that our firing order is 1, 4, 3, 2. So we found number 1, and we know where number 1 is on the thing. So we're gonna check our wires to make sure number 1 is in the right hole. So in most cars, number 1 should be firing in this general area. There's a notch right here on the distributor. It doesn't really mean anything, but it does tell you this is in general where the area where number 1 should be firing at. However, this car, the distributor drives in 180 out, or the distributor gear itself is 180 out. So we know that number 1, when we were messing with it on the valves, we found that number 1's in the back. So we want to make sure our number 1 plug wire starts on the back side of this.
Okay.
So what we do, we know number 1 is firing back here. So we pull on it and we trace it. Number 1 being the the front side of the car on the passenger side. And so it's right here. This is number 2. This is number 2. And then this should be number 4, 1, 4, 3, 2. So this we validate as number 4. And then this is number 3, 1, 4, 3, and 2. So we know 1, 4, 3, 2. There should also be another statement made on these cars. Number 1 and number 3 are always top dead center. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And number 2 and number 4 are going to be bottom dead center on the pulley. So you should always know that no matter what, if you're at top dead center, the rotor should be facing number 1 wire or the number 3 wire, no matter what. The next step is to get power and see where we're at with power supply.
Dun, 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 dun. Power.
All right, so now we're checking for key power. You got to turn on the.
Here, hold on. I'll show you how to do it.
You ready? Up.
We have lights.
I have generator and oil pressure light.
And look, we have
Do it
power.
again.
We have power to the coil. That's all we validated right now is power to the coil.
All right, cool. So we know our starter's working, so that's good.
So one thing that we're going to do is if we've got power to this side of the coil, we can see if we've got spark happening by putting this test light on the negative side of the coil. And when he tries to turn it over, we should see some flickering happen here, which says that we should have some spark happening.
Okay, y'all ready?
We are ready. So you see that? You see how it goes? Do it again. See how it sort of starts to go long ways? We want to make sure that the points are clean. They probably are a little dirty right now, which is why they're not getting a full solid strike. So
Is it flashing a little bit?
a little bit, but I think we should run some sandpaper or something just to clean up the points.
When we turned the ignition on, we got the generator light came on, and the oil pressure light came on. That's kind of cool. And then, as you heard just now, we're getting it turned over, and then we're getting power to the coil. So now we're just going to check the points. Chances are they may be closed up.
Well, you can tell they're a little old, a little corroded in there. So what we're doing is we're just using a feeler gauge, some sandpaper wrapped around it, some really fine grit sandpaper. We'll just pull back the points, stick it down in there, and then just sort of hold on to it and move it back and forth. This is just making sure that we get a good connection here.
All right, points cleaned, rotor going back on, and then the cap.
Nice. Okay. So now I'm gonna turn it over, and we're gonna see that light go flash, 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 flash.
Yeah, let's watch it flicker again. Let's see if we get a little better flicker out of it.
Ready?
Yeah, go for it whenever you're ready. Oh, see? Go do it again. Keep going for a while. Okay.
All right, so one thing with that'll get you every time, if these solenoids are not functioning, it won't run. It'll stop fuel delivery. So what we're going to do now is click on the accessory power and make sure we hear it clicking, right?
Yep.
All right, so let's see if we can hear it clicking.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? You hear anything?
Nope.
All right, Matt Jackson, can you tell me why you don't hear anything?
Because it's not getting power and it's not opening the little plunger up. So what we can do is take that out and just cut off the plunger, right?
You could go that route, see what's going on.
Let's just do that because that's how we roll here at VW Life.
It might be that they didn't get no power from that. It looks kind of
Let's see if we got power.
kind of fancy wired up. I'll see if you're getting power over there first.
Keep the key on.
Key on. Here, I'll just stay in there, Pops. Key on.
Oh, it's getting power.
Yeah, it's getting power.
Start over, guys.
All right, Gary, show them how to cut off the plunger. Maybe it's already cut off too.
Do you think it's cut?
I'm gonna guess it is already cut.
Yep.
Yeah, it was already cut off.
So what they did is they cut. There's that little plunger that it's just a solenoid. Instead of replacing this in the first place, the POs just cut it.
Yep.
So
Which what we were gonna do.
Yep. Yeah. And so in reality, this cable doesn't even need to be plugged up there.
Yeah.
So you want to know what we're doing right now is we're going to try to put fuel in the carburetor and make sure that it's squirting to at least give us some fuel delivery to see if we can spark that fuel. Cool thing is on these Solexes, this is a breather tube for the bowl. So this hole goes directly into the bowl. And so from the outside, we can use a syringe or a plunger, which we usually do, and try to get it right over top of that and fill directly into the bowl.
So a lot of times people squirt it down into the larger area of the carburetor, but you're saying this is better because we're actually filling the bowl.
Well, now we're getting the carb to function a little bit too, not just getting the car to start. Filling down the throat, going down the larger part, does nothing but get that gas burned off.
All right, ready?
Yeah, go for it. You don't have to. Hold on.
There's smoke coming out of the exhaust pipe.
Checking for spark.
Yeah, I want to see if there's a good spark coming. Yeah, we have a very weak.
Oh!
We have a very weak spark happening right now.
The moment of truth is about to become. We've got spark, we got fuel in there, and we are going to see if this little jewel will fire up. So the 67 Ghia, here it is. Jake is on the ignition, Tommy's on throttle, I'm on camera. Fire the hole.
Yeah, try it.
It runs!
Yay, we did it!
Hey! Good job, boys!
Of course, it's got an exhaust leak,
Yeah, it has a little bit of exhaust leak.
and the carburetor is not functioning at all. But we did get it to squirt, which was nice, so that we didn't have to keep pouring fuel down it.
So what do you think?
Well, I kept having to pump it because it's not feeding. So, and then of course we had some weak spark, but maybe it started.
set the
Something well. This needs to come off and really get cleaned if we want to be happy with our conversation and what we're doing.
All right, so now that we know it runs, we're going to take off the carb and give that a once over, clean up the spark plugs, and reroute our fuel. Is that the plan?
That is the plan.
And then we're driving it.
Yeah. So we got it to start.
Yep.
Now we're going to try to get it to run.
yeah.
It seems like
So will it run? Yes, it will start. Now we got to get it to keep it to running. Then we'll take it for a maiden voyage.
All right. So basically what we did is we got the car to run, or at least start, right? It's not running, but it's started. So now we're going to see what if we can't get it to hold an idle and everything else. So the one thing that everybody should be aware of is that taking the carb apart is not like rocket science. Most of everything that you take off has one place to go, and it goes back where it came from, right? So it's not like you can actually get this stuff mixed up too much. And in general, with the way phones are these days and whatnot, you could probably snap a couple pictures as you go through it. And as you take it off, you'll say, oh, that's where it goes back in there. So don't ever be afraid of a carburetor. It's not the end of the world. They're very, very easy. So just take them apart. And what we want to do is make sure all the galleys are functioning and everything else. We're going to give the car the best chance possible. We did try to spray some stuff down in there to get it to dissolve out some of the chunks.
So yeah, that's all Tommy's doing here. You just took the cap off, took out all the brass fittings, and it's just going to clean it, right?
Yeah, just giving it a quick once over.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
Okay, so the carb's going back on. We got a new fuel filter in place, and we tightened up that exhaust leak that you might have heard earlier. Did you say something about static timing? So number 4 in here is static time. Do we want to do that?
We could have done that, but when we adjusted the valve, we seen the number 1 was pointing very close. So they got us in the ballpark, and we weren't going to really have to chase it down. Because it's a 009, we should actually time it with the timing light now that we're running. Mm-hmm. So for now, we're good.
Whoa, whoa! Oh, whoa!
Did you sport from that?
Yeah.
That's what kept it going.
Yeah.
All right, clear?
Yep.
right, well, we're putting some air in the tires and we're gonna try to give it a run around the block. We'll see what happens. It's not really idling that great. Now the throttle's sticking, so Gary's just gonna lube up the pedal assembly. It's got a little bit of crustiness going on.
WD-40. Stops squeaks, protects metal, loosens rusted parts. We're on part 3. Freeze sticky mechanisms. Part 3 and part 4 here.
Start it.
Okay, no ground.
So it's either like a bad disc or you're not fully being able to disengage it.
Yeah. So we'll go into gear. So you could drive it.
We could just put in
Just
first
start in first and drive.
and rev match.
Yeah. So do you want to do that?
You want to back it up and
Yeah,
get
let's
it straight?
get it out of here first. Let's push it back out of here. That way we start it in first and we'll just
All right.
I mean, and then it's just like we're go plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could shift through the gears.
Yeah. Don't let it hit 3 splits down there.
Oh my god. Here we go. Are you gonna start it in gear?
Yeah, you're gonna have to because we ain't got no clutch.
Oh my gosh. That poor starter.
Y'all ready?
Yeah. So you can put it in gear when it's stopped.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
It wasn't in gear, huh?
Yeah.
So you're going down for first?
Wow. Yeah.
Oh,
Come on, baby.
What? Ah, it's driving! We're driving! Oh my god! We're driving! We're driving!
What are we gonna do now? We got no brakes. We can't shift.
There's no brakes?
Hey,
What's that sound?
it's probably on fire. Oh, I can see out the rearview mirror.
Oh my god, we're driving!
All right, Matt Jackson, we're getting ready to have a really big problem here.
Wait, there's no brakes? Oh god,
there are
it's
no
fine.
brakes.
We're gonna have to push it home. You have to coast around the circle.
I can't. We're gonna have to make a really tight corner.
Alright. Just go.
I got no brakes.
You got no brakes?
No, I got no brakes.
Oh shit, my door! Floor!
I got it, floor!
Floor!
It's floored. It's floored.
Oh my
It's floored. Oh, it's a car! Stop!
Stop! Thank you for that.
Oh, now we're going.
Oh yeah! Woo!
No brakes, and we can't shift it.
And my door doesn't close.
Oh, we stopped. We
All right,
stalled.
try the brake pedal. Ah! There's Tommy. Oh my gosh! Get me out! Get me out of there!
Looks like $5,000 bill to me.
The rest is up to you.
All right, VW Life, VW Ghia for sale, 67.
Oh my God. That was, Matt Jackson, we're going to be in serious trouble now.
God, you didn't have any brake, right?
Oh no, there's no brake.
I'm glad the
Brake work at all?
E-brake works.
we hope you liked our antics today.
We survived. I'm going to leave it at that. We got it running.
We did.
It runs.
Yeah.
So
We went through a nice little process to
Yeah.
get it running. And then stopping was another conversation.
Oh, we were
making
supposed-
hard turns was apparently was awesome.
was shifting supposed to be a part of it? It was not on the checklist today.
It wasn't on the checklist.
Okay.
But we did check it off.
Yes.
It doesn't
So
shift.
it needs a little work.
It does need work, but we got it running, and we hope you guys learned the basics on how to get a motor running after 20 years of sitting.
Yeah, I think that's the best part of the day, guys. I mean, it had been sitting for 20 years, and that thing runs. So, hooray. I mean, that's a victory. That's a huge victory. But it was a great day. We're glad you guys joined us today. Thank you very much. Make sure you tell your aunts, tell your uncles, tell everybody about VW Life. We do this for you guys, the VW community. We have a lot of fun. and we like you guys join in on it sometimes. So thank y'all very much. Make sure you buy some merch because, man, that stuff, we got some cool stuff out there. So.
Yep. All right, we'll see you guys later.